And we are live! Welcome to the live stream, people who are new to this live stream. We are going to read But the Kitchen Sink by Dubs Rewatcher. Rainbow Dash was just cruising through her life, one cupcake at a time. However, after a freak encounter with the kitchen of the Sugarcube Corner, the Pegasus finds herself faced with something she'd never encountered before. Love. However, this is not your average love story, for you see, the object of her affection isn't some handsome stallion with a windswept mane and gorgeous abs. Nope. Her love is a sink. Now, Rainbow Dash must face the challenges that come with love, all while learning to deal with the strange urges, teething children, and dressing. This story is 6,800 words long. Here we go. Let's see. But the Kitchen Sink by Dubs Rewatcher. Rainbow Dash rolled her eyes.
Pinky, I'm telling you, as weird and as crazy as you can be, it wouldn't work.
Nah, it would, Pinkie Pie insisted as they entered the library. We could totally replace your entire house with cotton candy. We could make it float and everything. You could live in it, and you could eat cotton candy anytime you wanted. And I could live there too, and we could eat cotton candy all day long.
You do make a good point. How much did it cost?
Pinkie Pie's face scrunched up. Let's see. Would the hair carry one? Oh boy! Only about 10 million bits! What a deal, right? Rainbow Dash shook her head and laughed.
Now, where are those cupcakes you promised me?
Oh, right. The kitchen, Pinkie said. I made them especially for you. They're vanilla. Your favorites. Her mouth began to water. The cyan mare began to gallop away from her friend. But before she could get into the kitchen, she was stopped by a loud, "Wait!" She turned back to Pinkie, who was still frowning a bit. Sorry, Dashy, but you have to be careful.
Huh? Why?
The Cakes just spent a lot of money to get the kitchen all clean and remodeled. It's all new and pretty and fancy. They'll be super duper mad if we get it messy, Pinkie Pie explained, bouncing up to her friend. Especially the sink. That costs more than anything. It's so new and pretty and fat.
Yeah, I get the picture.
Rainbow Dash interrupted.
What was wrong with the old kitchen? It looked fine to me.
Pinkie's face darkened. Do you remember last week when there was that big explosion?
Oh yeah, that thing completely cleared out all the clouds we were gathering for a storm.
Pinkie's head drooped. I kinda got into the coffee board again.
Well, it's just a kitchen,
Rainbow Dash said, assuring her friend with a pat on the back.
Even if we get it dirty, there's nothing my painted rainbow dry can't take care of, right?
Without waiting for the answer, she sprinted away from Pinkie Pie and sat in the kitchen, rushing through the double doors without a care in the world. Her eyes immediately settled on the cupcakes. The confections sat in a silver tray, tempting Rainbow with a delicious scent. They were covered with the sweetest, unhealthiest looking pink frosting she had ever seen. They were perfect. Disregarding all sense of restraint, she grabbed one and proceeded to gulp it down. It tasted just as delicious as it looked, and she ate. Rainbow Dash looked around the newly redesigned kitchen. All the walls had been painted a uniform pink color from ceiling to floor. It looked like there were engravings in the wooden paneling that had been redone, giving them a sharper and clearer image. A long line of shelves stood to the rightmost wall, reaching all the way up one way, covered with ingredients, covering foodstuffs of all kinds. The counters even sparkled.
Everything's nice, sure. It's just a kitchen.
Rainbow thought.
Who cares if it gets a little dirty? There's a washcloth right there over by the sink.
The sink. He sat across the room from her, sitting right against the wall. The sunlight filtering caught his chromatic coat, sending glimmers of light crashing through the room. Rainbow Dash could have sworn she felt one cross her face. It was sleek and streamlined, just like the Pegasus. A drip of water hung from its mouth. With a blush, she turned, only to come face to face with Pinkie Pie. Rainbow Dash! She shouted. Rainbow instinctively jumped into the air.
Pinkie Pie, don't think skip on me like that?
Pinkie Pie giggled. You're drooling! Or my cupcakes must have been the best ever! Taking quick glances at the sink, Rainbow Dash wiped her mouth. She suddenly realized how messy her wings were and how messy her mane was.
I'm a mess.
She thought, and began to preen herself. Pinkie stared at her inquisitively. Dashy, what you doing?
Oh,
It was at that moment Rainbow Dash realized she was trying to impress a sink. What was wrong with her? What had Pinkie Pie put in those cupcakes?
Nothing. I'm not doing anything.
Just to make a point, she tousled her own hair. There was a long lull as Rainbow Dash fidgeted under Pinkie Pie's gaze.
Hey, Pinkie, why is that sink so special?
I'm glad you asked, Pinkie Pie said, brandishing a magazine from seemingly nowhere. I happen to have this catalog right here.
How did you...
Oh look, it says that it has a large and spacious basin that can fit almost anything. Rainbow Dash gaped.
Really?
Yep, and it has a strong and durable chromatic plating. Cool! A single bead of sweat formed at the base of Rainbow Dash's brow as she attempted to immobilize her own wings.
That is cool,
she said. And look! It says the faucet has advanced pumping action. Isn't that the coolest? Rainbow Dash barely caught the moan in her throat.
Yeah,
she said flatly.
Pinkie, I think I understand. Please stop.
She began to wish she had a bottle of mind bleach. If Pinkie had noticed anything was wrong, she didn't show it. Okie dokie Loki! She picked up another cupcake and shoved it at Rainbow Dash. Let's stop the reading, 'cause it's time to get eating! She squealed. If only so that Pinkie wouldn't shove the tray down her throat, Rainbow Dash took the cupcake. However, as she took her first bite, she found her stomach and heart teaming up to rebel against the rest of her body. Her stomach seemed to be teeming with butterflies, making it near impossible to keep the cupcake down. Her heart raced faster with each passing second, yet it skipped a beat whenever she glanced at him.
It's...
Rainbow Dash's mind screamed at her.
It's...
With some difficulty, Rainbow Dash finished the cupcake. She gave Pinkie Pie a smile.
Oh yeah, Pinkie, that was great.
Pinkie Pie's eyes lit up like stars. Really?
Yep.
She rubbed her still erupting stomach.
I sure am full now. I doubt I could even have another bite.
What? Pinkie gasped so hard she hovered. There can never be too many cupcakes. It's impossible. She seemed to disappear into the floor and popped up a second later behind Rainbow Dash. Inconceivable! She popped up again on Rainbow Dash's left. Incomprehensible!
Pinkie, stop!
Rainbow said, blushing.
You're embarrassing me.
Pinkie stopped mid-bounce. Huh? In front of who?
In front of...
She stopped when she realized she was pointing at the sink.
No, Pony. Forget it.
And you forget about being full, Pinkie yelped, landing and grabbing the entire tray of cupcakes. She stuffed the entire tray into Rainbow Dash's face. Eat!
No! Pinkie, stop!
You're going to eat your cupcakes, and you're going to like them!
Pinkie, I said...
Just then, Rainbow saw a drop of water fall from the sink's faucet. As if on cue, the Pegasus' wings shot up. Her right wing was slammed right into Pinkie Pie's tray, sending it flying. No, cupcakes! Pinkie Pie cried. Come back! Ignoring her creator, the cupcake tray proceeded to ricochet around the room, spreading bits of cupcake and frosting everywhere. The two ponies could only watch in shock and dodge the careening cupcakes when necessary. It only took a few moments for the tray to smash right into the top shelf on the right wall. The ponies couldn't see it, but its impact had formed a hairline crack in the molding. Rainbow Dash silently cursed whatever vengeful spirit had created Pegasus' wings. Pinkie Pie looked more and more scared with each splattered cupcake. A few seconds later, the crack had grown and spread through the entire shelf, sending it tumbling downwards. That shelf crashed into the one below it, and that one into the one below that one. Soon the two mares watched in abject fear as the entire wall of shelves came crashing down, throwing up dirt, paint, and food like there was no tomorrow. The different supplies that had made their homes on a shelf, flour and frosting, food coloring, dough, scattered and smushed all across the floors, creating what looked like an infant's take on fine art. Rainbow Dash's wings dropped. Pinkie Pie's jaw literally hit the floor. What? Both mares whipped to the staircase that led up to the upper floors, where the cakes made their home. Two distinct cries echoed throughout the building, causing them to wince. What's going on down there? Pinkie Pie jogged in place. Oh no, Dashie! We're in so much trouble! Rainbow Dash was still too shocked to move.
Forget the washcloth. Even the rainbow has nothing on this.
Mrs. Cake, her eyes already bloodshot, cantered into the room. Pinkie? You need to... She stopped immediately. The blue mare looked at the cluster of destruction, then at the two mares. Back to the cluster, back to the two mares. She noticed an open bag of coffee beans in the corner. Pinkie Pie? Mrs. Cake growled, her face contorting into a mutant mix of rage, frustration, and exhaustion. What happened to our kitchen? There were cupcakes, Pinkie Pie replied in a squeak. A vein popped on Mrs. Cake's forehead. Pinkie Pie, how many times did we tell you to keep the kitchen clean? We can't afford to rebuild the bakery every other week. I know, Mrs. No, I don't think you do. Mrs. Cake began to walk towards the duo. We've given you a home, food to eat. We've put up with you eating half of our profits, and all we asked was that you try and keep this place nice. And what do? You tear down a wall! Mrs. Cake had effectively managed to make Pinkie Pie frown. I'm sorry. And not to mention the babies, we've just gotten them down to take a nap. Do you even know how hard it is now that they're teething? Rainbow Dash looked in shock. She had never seen Mrs. Cake this angry, or Pinkie Pie this worried. Of course, she had also never seen the Sugarcube's corner and walls tore down before either. She began to curse the sink that had gotten her acting so strangely. Then she remembered it was an inanimate object. Part of her felt like leaving, to stay any longer, and she was bound to get roped into it too. But her other part, her loyalty sense, commanded to stay here and help her friend. After all, it was her fault. She was the one that had the erection.
But from what? Hey, Mrs. Cake?
Rainbow Dash interrupted. The mare paused her tirade to look at Rainbow Dash. Yes, dear?
You can't blame Pinkie for this. It was my fault. I was the one who hit the tray of cupcakes away from her and knocked down all the shelves. If you're gonna blame any pony, blame me.
Mrs. Cake sighed and turned towards Rainbow Dash. In the blink of an eye, she started raging again. Rainbow Dash, how could you do this? Just come into our home and wreck it? Rainbow Dash backed up a bit.
Whoa! I'm all for making sure Pinkie Pie doesn't get in trouble here, but I'm not just gonna sit here and get lectured. It, wasn't all my fault, though,
she said, not making eye contact. Really? Mrs. Cake rolled her eyes. Then just whose fault was it?
Think, Rainbow, think. It was...
As if she didn't have control over her own hooves, Rainbow Dash pointed off to the side.
It was him! He seduced me!
Him? Mrs. Cake asked, looking where Rainbow Dash was pointing. Do you mean the bird? Rainbow Dash gazed at the sink and quickly realized that a bird had landed on the windowsill above it.
No, I mean the... Wait, what am I talking about? Oh, never mind. I did it. It's all my fault. Sue me, bully me, whatever. Just don't blame Pinkie.
Mrs. Cake glared. Rainbow Dash, I think it would be best if you left. Rainbow Dash sighed and glanced at Pinkie. The mare was gazing at her sadly. She shifted her eyes to the sink.
I hate you,
she mouthed. Without another word, she flew out of the kitchen. As she flew home, Rainbow Dash reviewed the events of the Sugarcube Corner. She had A. Gotten into an argument about cotton candy houses. B. had gotten some pretty good cupcakes. C. Being turned temporarily insane, it seemed, by a kitchen sink. D. Gotten a wing boner from a set kitchen sink. E. Caused hundreds of bits and property damage. F. Got quite possibly gotten banned from the best bakery in town. Huh. It wasn't like it was her fault or anything. It was a stupid kitchen sink. It was like it had some spell over her. Whenever she looked at it, her heart started beating faster. She began to sweat. It couldn't possibly be good for her health. She had only felt that way once before at the Junior Speedsters. Yet, despite all the trouble it had cost her, Rainbow just couldn't get it out of her mind. Every time she tried to forget it, the sink just popped back into her mind.
Oh, Celestia, what if I'm cursed? I wonder if Sakura has some tea or something.
Suddenly, she stopped mid-flight.
Wait,
she said to the air.
What am I doing? I beat Nightmare Moon and Discord. I proved the Sonic Rainboom was real, and now I'm just gonna start running from a stupid sink? No, that thing can't get me down.
She flew high above the clouds, leaving a rainbow trail in her wake.
I'm Rainbow Dash.
She spread her arms wide, waiting for the inevitable crowd of cheering ponies. After a few seconds passed, and she realized that she was the only pony around, Rainbow Dash smiled sheepishly and resumed flying.
I'm way too awesome to be worrying about this,
she said, as she landed on her front lawn.
I'll just pay to fix up the wall, apologize to Mrs. Cake, and everything will turn out alright.
The sun was setting in the west, creating a beautiful view from her vantage point, but Rainbow Dash found herself unable to appreciate it as a large yawn escaped her lips. It was the price she had to pay for spending a day with Pinkie Pie. With a flap of her wings, Rainbow Dash brought herself up to her bedroom. Tank sat in the corner on his enchanted bed. Her eyes felt like weights. She hovered over to her own bed, laid down, and got some well-deserved rest. It was dark. That was the first thing she noticed. It took a few moments for her eyes to adjust, but as she did, she realized that whatever the wet feeling around her leg was, the ground was flooded with deep blue water. She was in some sort of maze. She began to walk forward, ignoring the pain of the cold water against her skin. She had no idea where to go. Every turn seemed to lead to another turn, or a dead end. At points, she could have sworn to hear some pony, or something, moving with her. After a few minutes of useless waiting, she began to panic. Where was she? Why was this happening? Barely containing the urge to scream, she rounded another corner. That was when she saw him. Sitting in the middle of the water was Sink. He glanced at her lovingly. She knew that he was the key. He would make everything go away. He would make everything perfect. She cantered towards him, her heart beating faster with every step. He radiated sunlight, his warmth replacing the water's chill. She grabbed his wide basin and pulled him closer.
Oh, Sink.
His drain curled into a smile. Oh, Rainbow Dash.
Ah!
Rainbow Dash shut up from her bed, eyes wild.
Celestia, what was that? What did I just dream?
Her mind raced. Suddenly it all came back to her. She had had that dream before, years ago at Junior Speedsters, except that back then it was about a colt she had a crush on. It hit her like a ton of bricks. Her queasy stomach, her heart fluttering, wanting to look nice. She did all those things before the colt too. She was in love. She was in love with a kitchen sink. Down in Ponyville, the village was just waking up. The sun's rays erupted through the town, coating everything in its light. At the same time, another thing erupted, a mysterious, high-pitched scream of despair coming from the sky. Every pony who was already outside looked at each other in confusion. A few dogs barked, birds scattered in droves. All three of the Flower Sisters fainted simultaneously.
No. This can't be happening. I can't be in love, especially not with a sink.
Rainbow Dash flittered around her house, suppressing the urge to just break down and start screaming again.
I've never been in a relationship before. How does it even work?
She began to think about all the relationships she had seen throughout her life. Usually they started out with a date, then came kissing, then they would do things, then there was marriage. She couldn't think about any restaurant she was likely to allow her to bring her sink as a date.
Well, maybe that one place in Cloudsdale with the waitresses.
How would one even kiss a sink? On the faucet? She decided to skip thinking about the first step, but what left her with one stage she dreaded more than anything else. Marriage.
I can't get married. Nobody can pin me down. I still have so much I want to do in my life. Like, join the Wonderbolts.
With a pang of depression, she realized that joining the Wonderbolts was her only aspiration in life. Still, it was something. None of the Wonderbolts were married, and marriage meant kids, and kids meant constant stress and responsibility. They were not for her.
So that settles it,
Rainbow Dash declared as she re-entered her own bedroom. Her mane now looked even wilder than usual. Her throat was sore, and her eyes were bloodshot.
I'm not in love. I'm not. Nope. No way.
She laid back on her bed and stared at the ceiling. After that, there was no way she was getting back to sleep, but she tried anyway. She closed her eyes. Almost immediately, Sink entered her eyelids.
Stop it! I just want to sleep.
Once again, Sink's glittering frame entered her mind's eye. He was covered in pink flower petals. Rainbow Dash sat up, her heart racing and her wing threatening to extend at any moment. There was no avoiding it. The truth was there, right in front of her, plain as day. She didn't want to accept it, but she had to. It was her life now, her destiny, and it had to happen. She fell back onto the bed.
I love him.
Across the room, Tank gurgled.
Don't judge me, Turtle.
Derpy Hooves. Oh, this is Pinkie. Thanks! Come back soon! Derpy Hooves gave Pinkie Pie a small nod as she picked up her bag. Thanks, Muffin Pony! She trotted away. Next!
Pinkie!
Rainbow yelled, bursting through the bakery. She had flown there as hard as she could.
I need to talk to you!
Dashy! Pinkie cheered back, giggling. I haven't seen you in forever! At least, it feels like forever. I've waited for forever, so I don't
Okay.
Rainbow Dash landed in front of the counter where Pinkie Pie was standing.
Listen, Pinkie Pie, I need...
Ahem! Rainbow turned around only to come snout to snout with Carrot Top. Carrot Top.
I'll do Carrot Top.
Okay.
I was waiting. No cutting in line.
Behind Carrot Top, a long line was forming. A few ponies were scattered around the shop, watching the scene unfold as they enjoyed their breakfast. Pinkie Pie nodded. That's right! As cool and amazing and awesome-tastic as you are, Rainbow, you need to respect the rules of the line. And the first one is, no cutsies!
Look, it'll only take a second. Pinkie, I need to get to the kitchen.
Huh? Pinkie Pie asked, her smile fading. Why?
There's, something I need to do. See, in the kitchen. So if you'll just let me through, I'll be out of your mane.
Pinkie Pie frowned. Sorry, Dashy, but I can't do that.
What? Why?
The pink mare rubbed the back of her head. The cakes kinda told me that I can't let ponies that don't work here into the kitchen anymore. Sorry.
Oh, come on!
Rainbow protested.
Is this about the shelves? That was an accident. It'll never happen again.
I'm sorry, Rainbow, but I can't really don't want to make the cakes upset. The twins have been super cranky, and it made the cakes extra super cranky. You know how mad Mrs. Cake was? Rainbow Dash sighed bitterly.
Fine. Then... Oh, keep your mane on!
Rainbow Dash yelled at the mare behind her. She flew out the door.
Well, I never.
Bye, Dashy! Pinkie called. Come back soon! You never finish your cupcakes! As soon as she was outside, she sprinted upwards towards a cloud that just sat above the bakery.
Drat.
she muttered.
I can't get in by myself. Let's see. What would Daring Do?
Her eyes lit up.
In book 12, they wouldn't let her into the Museum of Equestrian History because they thought she was the one trying to capture all their precious jewels. She used a disguise. That's it! I need a disguise! But... what?
Who did you say you were again? Rainbow Dash subtly adjusted her mustache.
I'm the Sink Inspector.
She exclaimed in a strong baritone.
I'm here to inspect your sink.
Mrs. Cake eyed the inspector warily. She could have sworn she had seen this Pegasus before, but she knew that for a fact that she had never met a cyan pony with a rainbow mane, a black scruffy mustache, a brown fedora, and a shining golden badge that read, "The Inspector." Oh well, why would you need to inspect our sink? The inspector smiled.
It's my job. I'm under orders from Princess Celestia. I'm under orders from Princess Celestia to inspect every sink in Ponyville and give them a grade.
I see. If you would just follow me, I'll show you into the kitchen, said Mrs. Cake, turning her back to the strange pony. She didn't notice that the inspector's face lit up. The red-maned mare led her visitor out of the restaurant and into the kitchen. Here we are. I'll be in the foyer. Just give me a holler if you need anything. The inspector gave a reassuring smile. Once alone, she turned to the sink with a seductive grin. She found herself involuntarily wiggling her hips as she cantered towards her crone friend.
Hey,
she said.
I've been seeing you around here for a while. What's your name?
A droplet of water fell from the faucet.
Sink? Yeah, that's what I thought. I know this is kind of sudden and all, but are you single?
Sink stayed silent. Rainbow Dash cheered inwardly.
Oh, that's cool. I noticed you looking at me before. Was there something you wanted to say?
A small gurgle came from Sink's drain. A fire ignited behind Rainbow Dash's cheeks.
Oh, wow, that's, well...
She moved a bit closer.
You know...
she murmured.
I've never really been in love before. I always thought it was a waste of time. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Rainbow moved away and covered her face with her hooves.
We just met and I'm already hitting you with all this heavy stuff. I don't know, it's like you're making me crazy.
Another droplet fell.
You wanna meet up later? Sure.
She put her hooves on that part of Sink that was connected to the counter.
But we're all alone now. No pony can judge us.
She puckered her lips and moved towards the faucet.
I have no idea.
These are the pumpkin and pound cake.
Okay.
Rainbow, her heart threatening to break her ribs, spun around. Sitting on the floor a few feet away were pound cake and pumpkin cake. The former was giggling happily, while the latter was drooling on her own hooves.
How much did you hear?
Rainbow Dash demanded.
I swear, it's not what it looks like.
She mouthed a quick, "I'm sorry" to her lover.
Ah!
Pound cake squealed, hitting the floor.
Yeah.
Rainbow held a hoof tip in front of her still mustache-clad mouth.
Shh! Can't you see I'm trying to be sneaky?
The foal sat, confused as to why the strange-haired pony with that shiny thing on her chest was shushing them. This, combined with the mysterious pain erupting from their gums, created a problem. Their brains were unable to find a suitable answer, so they retreated and launched their only foolproof fail-safe system. They began to cry. Rainbow Dash jumped.
Oh, no. Stop crying. Look.
She made a funny face. Instead of calming the babies, however, they just cried harder.
Oh, horse feathers.
Pound cake? Pumpkin cake? What's going on in there?
Oh, no, nothing's wrong.
Rainbow Dash cried in a normal voice.
Oh, I mean, nothing's wrong.
Maybe she hadn't caught the slip up. I'm coming in there. Rainbow Dash whipped her head around desperately, looking for an out. The babies were crying. Mrs. Cake's hoof steps were getting louder. Sink was tugging at her heartstrings with its damned reflective sunlight. Wait, that's it. The sunlight that was coming through the open window. With a speed rivaling that of Spitfire herself, Rainbow Dash shot out of the kitchen, through the window, through the bark of the tree right outside, and straight into the sky. She gave a small cheer as she slowed down. Sure, she probably had a concussion, but anything was worth her newfound relationship with Sink. Back in the cakery, Mrs. Cake rushed into the kitchen, only to find the children alone and sobbing. "Oh, my babies!" she cried, galloping over. "What happened? Did that pony hurt you?" The babies seemed to calm down a bit at the sight of their mother, but they still wailed loudly. Mrs. Cake grabbed them and held them over her shoulder. "Shh! Mama's here." She walked over to the sink. Hanging from the windowsill was the inspector's mustache. She regarded it with disgust. "That's the last time I trust a sink, Inspector." Rainbow Dash swallowed hard.
You can do this.
She thought.
Remember, you faced down dragons before, no sweat. This is nothing on that.
She gave the blue door in front of her a light rap. A few moments passed before the door opened with a magical flourish. "Welcome to the Carousel Boutique, where every garment is chic, unique, and magnifique. How may I... Oh, Rainbow Dash, how delightful!"
Yeah, hi, Rarity.
She cantered into the boutique.
Listen, I kinda, need help.
Rarity beamed. "Oh, it's about time you started coming for me for advice. There's so much I need to teach you." She grabbed the pegasus in her magic. "Come, we'll start on table manners. I've come to notice that you're at least a bit lackluster."
Wait, Rarity, stop. I just have a question.
The unicorn froze in her tracks and frowned. "Oh, well, in that case..." She let go of her friend and pulled up the two velvet cushions. The two sat down. "Ask away." Rainbow Dash shifted her hooves.
Okay, but before I say anything, you have to promise not to laugh. I'm serious.
Rarity gave her friend the most incredulous look. "Laugh? What? Why, I never do something as base as that." She held a hoof over her heart. "You have my utmost respect, Rainbow."
Good.
Rainbow Dash smiled uneasily.
Okay. My question is, how do you impress somebody special?
Rarity gaped. "Special?"
Yeah. You know.
She blushed.
Somebody you like. Like.
Rarity tried to contain her giggles.
Hey, you said you weren't gonna laugh.
"I'm sorry, Rainbow Dash, I really am. But you have to admit this is rather, oh, how to put it, unexpected. I never pegged you down as one to proclaim your love in such a fashion, especially not in front of me." Rainbow Dash's eyes widened.
I'm not doing that. What am I, a chump?
Rarity smirked. "My dear, if that makes you a chump, then you are the chumpiest mare in all of Equestria. No offense, of course."
But I'm just... Can you answer my question or not? I knew this was gonna happen.
"Of course I can, Rainbow. You came to the right unicorn." She stood up and walked over to the long rack of dresses. "I have read long enough to... I have had enough experience to know that the only thing that attracts a stallion is style. It is a stallion, right?" Rainbow Dash blinked.
Sure.
"Good. Not that I would have a problem with if it were a mare, but this just makes it so much easier. Do you know what he thinks of you?" Rainbow thought hard. He never said he liked her. Well, at least not in those exact words. He had asked her out on a date, though.
Yeah, I think he likes me too.
"Oh, wonderful!" Rarity smiled as she pulled out a frilly and a red gown. "Here we are! Oh, it matches your eyes so well.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! I am not wearing that thing. I do not do dresses.
Oh, come on now, Rainbow Dash. I will assure you, no stallion will be able to resist you in this. You will have ponies lining up to father your children. Rainbow Dash went red. What would a pony hybrid sink hybrid even look like? She could see it now, a filly or colt with her rainbow mane, her father's silver coat, and maybe a pipe for a tail?
Rarity, are you sure there's no other way? Aren't you supposed to, like, be yourself or whatever?
Rarity laughed and shook her head in pity. Oh, what an amateur mistake! Every pony knows that never works. Rainbow Dash sighed bitterly and rubbed the back of her head with a hoof.
Fine. How much?
Free of charge.
Whoa, really?
Rarity put a hoof on her friend's shoulder. Rainbow Dash, you are my friend. If I care about you, and you may Celestia banish me if I do not do everything in my power to make you happy. She floated the now packaged dress to her friend. Good luck! I expect details. Rainbow Dash laid her dress over her wing.
Well, thanks, Rarity. You know, I never thought I'd say this, but this might actually be pretty cool.
She laughed a bit. All at once, her expression shifted to one of pure dread.
Oh, Celestia, what is happening to me?
It's love, dear. True love. The moon served as the only source of light as Rainbow Dash trotted silently through Ponyville. Her new dress obstructed her wings, so flying was out of the question. It felt a bit weird not being able to fly, but it was worth it if that would mean she would win over Sink. It was strange, addressing him by his name. Just a day ago he was just another household appliance. Now he was so much more.
Get a hold of yourself, Rainbow. You can be sappy later.
Not even a creak could be heard as Rainbow Dash approached the Sugarcube Corner. No light could be seen through any of the windows, giving the entire building a somewhat eerie quality. Not daring to try and break into the front, Rainbow Dash trotted around the building until she came back to the garden. From there, she had a clear view of both the door and the window that led to the kitchen. Rainbow Dash stood on her hind legs to reach the window.
Shoot!
She whispered.
It's locked.
She peered downwards, only to feel her heart start racing. Sink's faucet was dripping rapidly, making an audible splat against the basin. As Rainbow Dash felt a familiar warmth ignite in her body, she breathed hard into the window and traced a heart into the fog. She jumped down into the back door a few feet away. Pulling hard on the door, she found it too was locked. How was she supposed to get in now? She couldn't wait another day. She had a date tonight. Besides, they wouldn't even let her in. There was a loud shuffling from above. Hello? Rainbow ducked into a nearby bush, silently cursing herself as a loud rip cut through the night. Is anybody there? I have an alligator, and I'm not afraid to use him. Rainbow peeked her head up.
Pinkie Pie? Is that you?
Pinkie leaned out her window and regarded the scene. Despite it being near midnight, she still held the same joyous pomp that she did during the day. She gasped. Rainbow Dash? Is that you?
Yeah, it's me.
She got out of the bush and grimaced. The bush had torn a long rip in the side of her dress, revealing her right wing.
Oh, Rarity's gonna freak.
Dashy? Are you wearing a dress? Pinkie yelled. She immediately broke out into a fit of giggles. Dashy's wearing a dress! Hee 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 hee! Rainbow Dash frowned.
Hey, quiet down. Do you want to wake up the whole town?
Pinkie considered the question. No, I don't think so. Dash, what are you doing here? It's way past your bedtime.
Yeah, I know. Pinkie, can you let me in? I'll explain once you're down here.
Okay, Pinkie said. She disappeared inside the house. Rainbow Dash waited in the backyard for a minute before a sharp clack came from the door, and it swung open. Pinkie Pie stood in the doorway. Come on in!
Sweet!
Rainbow cheered, taking her friend's offer. As soon as she saw the object of her affection, her smile faded.
Listen, Pinky. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I think I'm in love with your sink.
I know!
Yeah, I know wait, what? You know?
Pinky grinned. Well, of course I know, you silly! I heard all about it from his dishwasher, his ex-wife. Besides, he talks about you all the time.
He does?
Rainbow Dash's cheeks filled with blood as she took a nervous glance at her lover.
What does he say?
Pinky's face lit up. Oh, lots of things! Sweet things, funny things, inappropriate things. Things that should never be repeated, especially not in front of fillies or colts. She poked Rainbow Dash in the side with her shoulder and gave her a mischievous glance. He has the hots for you.
He does?
Yep! Rainbow beamed. This
is awesome! How do I look? What do I say?
Just be yourself, silly!
Wait, Rary said that didn't work. Isn't she like the expert?
Pinkie Pie shook her head. Trust me, Dashy. I've read enough fanfiction to know that you can be with any pony in the entire world, even me! Rainbow Dash felt like making a comment, but decided against it. Instead, she just gazed lovingly at Sink. Oh! Pinkie said. I think I'll leave you two alone. She smiled and trotted down to the staircase. Rainbow Dash gulped. Before she could even chicken out and turn back, she forced her hooves to move forward, each step bringing her closer to her love. Her heart pounding in her chest, and at this point it became likely that her dinner was going to make a reappearance. But she managed to muster up the confidence to put her hooves on the counter, looking at Sink right in the handles.
Hey, I'm here, just like you wanted.
She glanced down at her ruined dress.
Yeah, sorry about the rip. I just wanted to make myself look nice for our date. I look like a fool.
The pitter-patter of Sink's drip against his basin stopped for the shortest moment. Rainbow Dash resisted the urge to melt.
You like me just the way I am? Yes, I knew Rarity was a hack. I really like you too. You just make me go crazy. I can't describe how I feel when you look at me. I know people will probably think we're crazy, and I know it's really sudden, but I think I love you.
She winced, as if she were going to die right then and there. Something shifted in his piping, making the faintest creaking noise.
You love me too?
He gurgled. The Pegasus' face went from blue to red, so she could see what Pinkie Pie meant when she warned about repeating the stuff to false. Rainbow wrapped her hooves around her partner, his cold metal sending shockwave throughout every inch of her body. She felt a sudden urge. She wanted to rip off her gown, attempt things that had never been attempted before, all with her loving Sink. Yet something felt wrong. Rainbow got off him, and looked around the empty kitchen. It felt cold, even colder than Sink's skin. The silence was deafening. It was just so lonely. She looked back to her boyfriend.
You know, your house is cool and all, but I really wish we could leave. You know, go somewhere special for our first date.
Without warning, Pinkie Pie popped up behind Rainbow and lay a hoof on her shoulder. That can be arranged! Rainbow Dash nearly jumped out of her dress. Rainbow sat outside the Sugarcube Corner, her ruined dress in a bunch next to her. Pinkie Pie had told to wait outside a few minutes ago, and she still hadn't returned. The bakery was quiet as ever. Was this a prank or something? The Pegasus could always appreciate a good prank, but keeping her away from her date wasn't funny. Just as Rainbow Dash was getting ready to make her chances and bust back in, Pinkie Pie bounded around the corner. Dashy! I have a surprise for you!
Really? What is it? Where's Sink?
Pinkie Pie ducked back around in the backyard. She returned just a few seconds later with a new object in tow.
Sink!
Rainbow yelped, speeding up to her lover. He was completely free of the counter that had been around him. A thick pipe hung from his basin, and the chrome plating that Rainbow Dash loved so dearly seemed to shine ever brighter now that he had been liberated from his makeshift prison. Rainbow grabbed him and hugged him tight. barely resisting the urge to slobber him with kisses.
Pinkie, how did you...
Pinkie Pie lifted one hoof to her friend's mouth. You kids go have fun. I'll see you in the morning, right? I mean, if you're not too worn out. Rainbow Dash's face boiled.
Pinkie Pie, not in front of Sink.
Oops. Sorry, Mr. Sink. I'll leave you two alone. She turned away. Before Rainbow Dash could say another word, she spun around and sang into her friend's ear. I call Godmother. She bounced away. Rainbow smiled at her, before looking at her new boyfriend seductively.
Let's go back to my place.
She could have sworn she saw him smile back. I'm afraid you have tetanus, Dr. Stable said. He was reading off a long clipboard. It says here that you most likely caught it from indecent relationships with a Sink. He stood for a moment before reading the papers. Wait, what? Rainbow was sitting on a long bed, wearing a hospital gown. She grit her teeth.
That little snake. He told me he was clean.
The yellow unicorn blinked. Rainbow Dash, are you leading me to believe that you were with a Sink? How is that even possible? The Pegasus' face suddenly darkened. She grabbed the doctor and shook him.
Wait, is the baby gonna be okay?
Stable stuttered. He grasped for the right words. Since when were you pregnant? How have I not heard about this? Are you telling me this object is the father too? Rainbow Dash's eyes began to well up with tears.
Yeah?
She yelled.
Jerk won't even pay child support.